Hello, everybody. This is Emmanuel Ison coming to you today with another edition of Financial Breakthrough Academy. I'm excited to be here with you, your hosts. Goal with this program helping us understand basic financial concepts, sharing ideas, thoughts that we can go ahead and use in the way that is appropriate for our own lives. I trust your week has gone great and looking forward for awesome rest of the week. Well, let's go ahead and get started here again. Emmanuel and privileged to be sharing with you on this edition of Financial Breakthrough Academy. We will start off by looking a quick look at our disclosures. Again, our primary goal for this is to help us get educated. But for anyone who like to implement in your concept, here is a quick disclosure for you. Information presented here does not constitute the rendering of personalized investment advice, but is limited to dissemination of general information and education on various financial topics. Professional advisors should be consulted before implementing any of the ideas discussed. Again, the primary objective is to provide you with some information, some education that you can go ahead and chew on, process. But if you want to implement any of the concept, the ideas we share, we do recommend that you talk to a tax professional, financial advisor, a legal advisor to help you in the implementation of any of the concept that we'll be sharing here on this channel. If you have opportunity, you online listening, watching, you wanted to go ahead and like our page, share the content, invite somebody to listen. You never know what can be of a blessing to somebody's particular situation. So whatever time you're listening to this, we encourage you to like our channel, our page, share the content with somebody else, invite somebody else to be able to share and educate themselves. Okay, so with that, let's get started with some information here today. Our topic today is retiring in uncertain times. Retiring in uncertain times. The do's and don'ts, that's needed when we are in the process of getting ready to retire. So, what are the things we have to be watching out for? Okay, so that's our topic today: retiring in uncertain times, the do's and don'ts, that can help you to be able to safeguard your future. It's based off of content we have available to one of our partners to educate our various followers and the general public. So we do encourage you to check out our website for some of the information we're sharing here today. Now, with that said, we will start off with a scripture. One of our values is to be able to share some biblical concept and principles that relates to the things we are talking about. Our scripture today is from Isaiah 1:19. If you are willing and obedient, you will eat the good things of a land. Thinking about retirement, you work so hard, getting ready to retire. It's like you have a season, you have be willing and obedient to the Lord in the things of working hard for yourself and investing in different ways. I think, as scripture says, you will eat the good of a land. Your land here referring to as what you have, put together, sown, invested in over the years. It is time to enjoy the good of your land. So that's our scripture for today. And also we have a quick quote for today. It's an anonymous writer that says that retirement is the only time in your life when time no longer equals money. We've all heard it before. Time is money. But this quote by this writer here, anonymous though, is saying that retirement is the only time in your life when time no longer equals money. In other words, being able to enjoy your life and spend time with your family, the people you love, the things you like to do at the moment of your life. You're not really worried about how much that moment is costing you per se, because you want to enjoy what you have worked so hard over the years to create for yourself. So that is our quote for today. Now, as we go through this conversation, the discussion, you may have a question about a topic or a specific thing we said. We do encourage you to text your name to the phone number on the screen here, 720-575-1505, or just contact us through whatever channel you're listening to now, and we'll be able to set up a complimentary discovery call to be able to answer any question you have concerning the topic we are discussing, or any other financial topic that is of interest to you. So that's an important information to share as we head into the topic for the day. Now, very well, retiring in uncertain times, typically speaking, when we talk about retirement, it's a lot of time, let's say the 5 years, maybe 7 years, give or take, before you will retire, and 5 years or maybe 7 years after you have retired. That time period is a very critical time period. It's so important to really honing on the things you want during your retirement years. So depending on what age you choose to retire, but if you take a typical retirement age, say 65 or 67, so the 5 years before that time, by this time, if you are quote unquote 60 years old, if you want to retire around 65, or however many years you are 5 to 7 years before you are going to retire, and maybe you just retired anyway, you didn't 5 to 7 years time frame. That time block is a very, very important time period, and so many things can go on. We live in a season, a time where it's so difficult to be able to predict what is going to happen next in any situation. Nobody knows. If somebody ever told you, yeah, I know what's going to happen in the market next year or next month, I'm sorry, nobody knows. So it's important for you, as you prepare to retire. You are just few years within, maybe 5 to 6, 7 years before you retire, or 5, 6, 7 years after you've just retired from work, that you consider some important things. And we want to look at a few of the do's, the things you may want to consider taking care of or doing, and a couple of other things that you really don't want to get into during that time period, to be able to weather the time, the season of the uncertainties. We all know we're living in an uncertain time. Think about the coronavirus. We now, at this time as we speak, we're talking about a war potentially in Russia invading Ukraine. The market volatility as we see it. Things are still shaking up in different forms. Inflation is still at all-time high at this moment, and it can be very uncertain for people who are planning to retire or just retiring, wondering what is going to happen with my money. How do I make sure that things are going to be okay for me and my family as I enter this phase of my life? Okay, so these are some things we want to kind of go through. So we'll look at a few of the things we want to do or consider doing when we are in this uncharted territories of our retirement season. So I have 3 things up there here. Focus on what is in your control is the first thing we want to discuss. Protect your retirement cash flow, and then revisit your investment. So let's kind of go over these 3 aspects of the conversation here today. So if we look at the first aspect, focus on what's in your control. It's not everything that we can control. As we know, frankly, a lot of things out there in the marketplace, a lot of things when it comes to investments and the politics of the season, and the health condition worldwide, or whatever else out there. There's so many things that we may not be able to actually control, but there are a few things that we may be able to, have a control over. So during that time of uncertainty, when we are trying to figure out what to do 5 years into, or just 5 years after, give or take, our retirement years, we want to focus on what's in our control. What can you control as an investor, as somebody getting into your retirement years, and now wanting to enjoy the fruits of your labor, if I may put it that way. So what are some things that we can truly control on our own? And a few things that we have up on the screen. The first is that our mental or psychological preparation for that unpredictable, uncharted waters of our retirement season. You see, the mental capacity to be able to really dig in and be ready for that time period is important, because as we enter into retirement, you are coming to a phase of life that you've never experienced. Is that right? So it's important to be mentally prepared for that. It's important to have that psychological preparation, setting yourself up, having that focus on this new stage of life. If maybe you worked 15, 20, 30 years in the career path, whatever you did, or maybe you're in business for yourself, or however you spent your career years and working years, preparing for this time of kind of scaling back on your active work life. With the shift into retirement years, when you are dealing with uncertain times, when you are confronted with the COVID and inflation and potential military activity somewhere in Europe that may impact directly or indirectly your finances, it's so important that you have the mental fortitude, the psychological preparation to know that everything's going to be okay. You set yourself up in that state. You put yourself in that environment of feeling like, yes, I think, I don't have all the answers. I don't have all the, factors, but I can have that certitude in my spirit, in my heart, that it's going to be fine. Okay. So this is something that we can control. We can set our mind up. We can make our mind up and have that psychological mental preparation for that stage of our life. The next thing is about putting together a retirement plan covering certain elements that is important, like the recession potential, the volatility of the market, dealing with the bear market. Has your plan, the retirement plan you have in place, factored all these things into it? This is something that you can control. You can at least add this element to the kind of plan you put together as you enter into this phase. You see, so that opportunity is there to put a plan together that takes into account potential bear markets going down, all the ups and downs and the volatility and potential recession. We don't know, but if you have that preparation in place, you have a retirement plan in place that covers some of these elements, you put yourself in a better position to be able to weather the period of uncertainty. We are talking about retiring in uncertain times, so that the point is to be able to position yourself, position your portfolio in a way that can withstand all the hiccups that could happen during your retirement years. Okay. The other factor we have here is the confidence to adapt in changing conditions. How confident do you feel, and how confident are you when it comes to being able to adapt to the conditions that may be changing as you get through your retirement? You see, there is always things happening. So many things are happening all the time, and our concern here is, how do we focus on what you and I can control? As you get into the retirement years, are there specific things, what is your own confidence level? How confident, let's say from a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 is the least and 10 is the greatest, how confident do you feel in adapting to changing conditions that may affect your retirement years? All right. So that's another important thing that you can have focus on. You can be able to take charge of. Okay, your ability to feel confident about it, about a condition that may be changing, and how you can adapt, how you can adjust. You can, make room for the potential reversal of course of whatever trend it is during that time period is so critical and so important. Now, another thing is, being able to discuss, goals, worries, and contingencies with your partner or your spouse, your family. That is also important. It's something that it can be in your control. You can look at your goals afresh. As you enter into that stage of life or retirement, the ability to look at your goals, review maybe some concerns you have or potential contingencies if things were to go this way, what we're going to do with this or that. Having a discussion with your spouse, having a discussion with your wife, your husband, your partner will be very critical, and it's something that is frankly within your control. Okay, so we are looking at focusing on things that are within our control as we navigate the uncertain times during retirement. Is that right? So the next thing here is having a discussion with a financial professional. I think there is a place for that you'll be able to make time with your financial professional to take a look at all the things that may impact your retirement, especially when we are dealing with uncertain times. Okay, so anyway, for this particular point, we have discussed the fact that we have to look at what we can control as we head into retirement. Mental and psychological preparation, having a retirement plan that's covering certain areas of volatility, bear markets, recessions, and all the things that can really throw your retirement plan off guard. Having the confidence to adapt in changing conditions, and having your goals or maybe worries and contingencies, you have a place to discuss or talk about it with your partner, your spouse, your wife, and potentially having a discussion with your financial professional. So all of these will go a long way, because these are things that frankly you and I can control. Right? We can be able to have a say on how these things go. Now with that, let's go to the next point: protecting your cash flow, your retirement cash flow. We are talking about retiring in uncertain times, and we are saying that the next important thing is truly protecting your retirement cash flow. You see, during the years of accumulation, where you are building up your wealth or growing your money, investing and letting your money grow over the year during your active working years, it's a whole different stage when it comes to during your retirement years, where you are no more actively working and generating the income on an ongoing basis, but now you are drawing off of what you have over the years built. And it's important to protect your retirement cash flow and make sure you feel comfortable with how and what kind of income will come in on an ongoing basis to take care of your needs. So for that, some things we can look at would be like the lifestyle planning. What kind of lifestyle do we plan to lead during the retirement years to protect your retirement cash flow? You see, the way you may have spent your income and use your money during your accumulation or the stage of where you were growing your money or working actively as a young man or woman during that year, those years are different from the retirement years. So during the retirement years, to prepare for uncertainty, you have to look at the kind of lifestyle you want for yourself and planning out that lifestyle, making sure that the kind of lifestyle you want fits, will be in alignment with your potential income needs. And that ties into the next point there. The kind of cash to cover your living expenses. Frankly speaking, the foundation there is to be able to cover your living expenses, your food, clothing, shelter, just medical expenses, things that you need for daily sustenance and daily living. Okay, so the part of the process of protecting your retirement cash flow is to make sure you have enough cash that is covering that. And going back again with that is that the enough cash to avoid untimely drawdown of portfolio. There is such a thing that when sometimes you start your retirement years and suddenly something happens in the market that, if you owe your money, let's say a certain percentage of it is in your company stocks, and maybe in an IRA at some point, or 401k, whatever it is, and things happen and the value of your portfolio declines, guess what? It will impact how you are able to take money from that portfolio to live off on, because suddenly the amount that you want to take, if you took that same amount over a longer period of time, it may not be able to last the way you thought it would. Okay, so enough cash to avoid that drawdown of your portfolio untimely. In other words, you have to structure your cash flow, okay, protect your retirement cash flow, so that you have enough to cover during the period of uncertainty. Now, the next point there is about having enough guaranteed income. Now, there are only few places. Again, everybody's situation may be different. That's why, again, important to work with an advisor, a professional to walk you through it. But the idea here is that we need to have enough guaranteed income if you really want to protect your cash flow during retirement. And only few places or sources of income may be deemed guaranteed. For example, social security income. Yeah, I know we don't want to get into the discussion about, is social security going to be there or not, and will it be available when I'm ready to retire? All things being equal, there should be something for. It may be it may not be the same amount of percentage we wish we had, but to some extent, we know that the government will do all it can to be able to protect that guaranteed income. So social security income is one guaranteed income you can always count on. It's a check that will come in the mail if you have contributed enough and had enough of your credit during your working years. Pension income or pension benefit is also another source of guaranteed income you can count on. Now, many of us may not be familiar with that, because a lot of pensions that used to be around and put together by employers are now changed into what we now know as 401ks and all that. So with the pension benefit, you'd have been guaranteed a certain amount for the rest of your life after you've worked for a company. So if that's a possibility, that's a great option there. Another thing is, an annuity. An annuity is basically a contract you put together with an insurance company that you give them a certain amount of money, either one time or over a period of time, and they turn around and give you an income stream for the rest of your life. So I think the point is that you need to have a plan to protect your retirement income by looking at what kind of guaranteed incomes you are going to get. What are the sources of it? Is it social security benefit? Is it some pension benefit from an employer? Is it some annuity account, a contract you have that can provide that particular cash flow protection for you? Well, with that, we also mentioned here testing the different portfolio scenarios. In other words, doing an analysis, potentially with an advisor, professional, financial professional, to make sure that the scenarios that you run in terms of generating income for your retirement are such that they are robust. They can handle several conditions of the market. So these are some things I think can be helpful in protecting your retirement cash flow. So that's the second thing there. The third element of a conversation is revisit your investments. Revisit your investment. So I think it's important to revisit your investment during your prep time towards retirement, especially where we are addressing the uncertainty that there may be during retirement. So with that particular scenario, what do you do to revisit your investment? Well, a few things that we can talk through. Protecting your investment, it's very important. There are uncertainties in the market, so you want to make sure that you are positioning your investment in such a way that for the uncertain market that is happening, that could happen, that potentially may happen, that your investments are positioned well for that uncertain times. Okay. Now, you may also want to look at an up-to-date investment strategy that takes into account all of that uncertainty during your retirement years. Again, revisit the investment plan you have. Make sure that it has the up-to-date strategy you want for it to adapt to all the potential scenarios that may occur. There's what we call protecting against sequence of return risk, which I think I alluded to briefly earlier on. The point is making sure that during the time of your retirement years, as you're drawing out from income from your portfolio, it's not in such a way that if there's a sudden downturn in the market right before you retire, it may have a huge impact versus if there was a quote unquote a recession of a kind way before you retire. You have enough time to accumulate and to make up of that losses. So if it happens that your portfolio can be hit, as you look at the various scenarios, and you are in a place whereby you are not protected enough, if something were to happen right before you retire, you want to make the necessary adjustments so that your withdrawal rate or amount of money you desire to take out of your accumulated account can sustain your life style and your income needs over time. Now, we also put there, looking at some advanced investment strategies to mitigate volatile markets. Again, everybody's situation is different, but if you work with an advisor, a professional, they should be able to look at some strategies that can help you be able to navigate complex, volatile investment situations or market situations during your retirement years. Okay, so with those three elements, I think we have enough points that we discussed to talk about. Hey, maybe you want to consider things you can control, protect your retirement cash flow, and also revisit your investment. These are the three things. Now, these are the do's, is that right? We want to look at a couple of don'ts, things that we probably don't want to do, is that right? That we think can be detrimental in case we are looking at retiring in uncertain times. What are the don'ts? A couple of them. As you see on the screen, don't give in to fear. Don't put off critical decisions. Now let's address it very quickly. Fear is a very, very, very dangerous, I would say, element when it comes to retiring and in life in general. When there is panic, when there is fear, it tends to derail everything. It tends to put everything off track. So the point here that's been raised, don't give in to fear. Watch out for fear and emotional decisions. When one is afraid, we are tempted to make decisions out of emotional, hype or lows. Is that right? So be careful of fear-based decisions and have a clear, emotional, free decision-making strategy in place way before anything that could hamper your investment strategy may come to play. Is that right? So now sometimes you may take too much risk or too little risk depending on what stage you are. And I think even it could be a matter of having to be worried about things and having a conversation with your financial professional. All of this can be helpful in addressing the fears you may have. Now it's natural. We all have fears for different things, and when it comes to retiring, the fear of running out of money is a big thing. According to research, that many people may be afraid that they run out of money because they know what's going to happen with the markets and people are living long. So let's look at some of these fears that can interrupt and have a negative impact on our investment portfolio. The next quick item there is don't put off critical decisions. Now there are so many decisions that we have to be making if we want to have a smooth running retirement years. Of course, nothing will be perfect, but if we have enough guardrails in place and have some plans in place, the likelihood of being able to deal with the situations might be much different. So a few things up on the screen here. Ask yourself, is your future at risk? Do you feel that something may happen that may derail your retirement, that may put you in a bad spot? Well, it's not time to be thinking or overthinking or overanalyzing. When you are 5 years through, or maybe within 5 years you just started your retirement, it's important to make very important decisions when things are in a very rough stage, and having that certainty and making sure that you feel confident of what's going to happen is important. So another question would be, how confident are you about retirement strategies you have in place? These are critical decisions that should be made. Do you understand what you should be doing to protect your lifestyle from financial volatility? Have you had a discussion over the last even 12 months, so to speak, with your professional or any professional at all? Because it's important not to put off critical decisions during that time period, because they may really impact how things will turn out for your retirement. So again, just two things that we're dealing with. Don't give in to fear. Don't put off critical decisions for that time. With that said, these are just a few things we wanted to share today in regards to how do you prepare retiring for during especially uncertain times. And if you like to have a retirement readiness session, just go ahead and text your name to our number on the screen, or reach out via the channel you are listening to, or just contact us via our website. We'll be very happy to provide a complimentary retirement readiness session for you. Well, if you again feel like this is of value to you, go ahead and share with somebody, invite somebody to listen to, and help them understand a little bit more how these things work. This has been another edition of Financial Breakthrough Academy. Your host, Emmanuel Ison, Certified Financial Professional. It's my pleasure being with you today, and look forward to our next edition of Financial Breakthrough Academy. Have a blessed rest of your day.